faithfully delivering value, exploring great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally talking books. Today we're diving into the book Never Eat Alone. What does never eat alone mean? Essentially, it means dining with people you want to connect with. However, this isn't a book about table manners, it's about social skills. The author believes networking is everywhere. Even meal times can be used to meet important people. And the reason is, as the subtitle says, 85% of success comes from effective networking. The author Keith Ferrazzi is a networking expert who loves and excels at interacting with people. He studied at Yale and Harvard Business School, then worked at Deloitte, one of the big four accounting firms. With top-notch sales skills, he quickly became Deloitte's chief marketing officer and youngest partner. Later, he joined companies like Starwood and Yahoo, and eventually started his own marketing consulting firm. Ferrazzi credits networking as the secret to his success. He compiled his life experiences and networking know-how into a book, detailing networking's importance and how to build and maintain a strong circle. This content boils down to two key questions. First question, why build a network? Second question, how to build high-quality networking. First, let's tackle the initial question. Why build a network? In the book, Ferrazzi answers this with his own story. First off, networking brings incredible power. Even as a young boy, Ferrazzi deeply understood this. Ferrazzi came from a humble background. His dad was a regular worker. His education and success stemmed largely from his father's connections. As an ordinary steel worker, Ferrazzi's father toiled hard for low pay and didn't want his son to follow suit. After deep thought, he decided the priority was to get his son a good education. So he gathered courage and approached his steel company's CEO, McNally. McNally was a trustee at a top local private school, perhaps moved by the father's bravery or impressed by Ferrazzi's potential. McNally helped Ferrazzi connect with the principal and even scored him a scholarship. For McNally, it was just a quick word, but it totally changed Ferrazzi's life. Secondly, success often comes down to building networks and teamwork. When Ferrazzi was young, he worked as a caddy at a golf club to make some extra cash. While caddying, he noticed a pattern. Rich folks keep getting richer, while poor folks struggle more. So why does that happen? After mingling with the wealthy, Ferrazzi saw they have strong networks. Anytime they need something, they know who to call. Rich people don't make it alone. They build wealth by teaming up with others and expanding connections. But the stream-making network, it's tough for less fortunate folks to access. Last Arnold Palmer, a legendary American golfer with multiple championships, started as a caddy too, climbing up with top-notch skills. He's a household name in the US and was Ferrazzi's idol during his caddy days. This guy seemed way out of reach, but Ferrazzi got close through networking. How do you do it? Ferrazzi's first client as a caddy was a lumber mill owner's wife. He wasn't like others who just stood around. Ferrazzi trekked the whole course, testing ball rolls repeatedly to help her win. His effort paid off with friendship and new clients. Since Ferrazzi always excelled, he snagged Best Caddy award in his first year. When Arnold came to play, Ferrazzi was the natural choice as his caddy. All this wasn't just hard work. It was thanks to the network he built on the job. Finally, the third reason, you got to keep using your network to boost its value. In most people's minds, there's this idea, I have a very important friend. I can't easily bother him. Save the best for last. Only use this connection when something truly big happens. Ferrazzi also faced this. He once wanted to enter Hollywood and asked the guy named David to introduce him to a Paramount Pictures executive, Transformers, Shrek, etc. These movies were all produced by Paramount Pictures. Getting support from a Paramount executive could fast-track entry into Hollywood. But when David learned Ferrazzi's intent, he refused to make the introduction. The reason was David felt he might need this ex's help later and didn't want to use up the chance too soon. Farazi found David's refusal unbelievable. In his view, this was also an opportunity for David because building rapport early with a Paramount exec by recommending reliable people could strengthen David's own relationship. Many people think networking is like eating a pancake. Take a bite and it's gone. But Farazi disagrees. He sees networking as a muscle. Only by exercising it regularly does it get stronger. Just like what Mr. Pigeon, Farazi's high school principal, did. He'd flip through the alumni directory when students faced problems, finding alumni to help, and the students would build friendships. So later in life, they give back by introducing friends to friends and alumni to alumni. This all makes the network stronger and more loyal. That's the importance of building networks. Um, First, networking has immense power. One help from others can change a person's fate. Second, success often comes from accumulated connections and collaboration. You can't go far alone. Third, networking must be used constantly to increase its value, now that we understand its importance. So, how do we build high-quality networking? Farazi believes it takes 3 steps. First, find your goal. Second, build your own circle. Third, create and promote your brand. Let's look at each step one by one. First, let's look at step 1, find your goal. This goal primarily refers to career goals. Career goals anchor your networking. Clear objectives show what direction to take, skills to gain, and people to meet. Specific goals create clearer paths. More importantly, when you share your goals, everyone you know could become your helper. After setting career goals, Farazi would pinpoint networking targets, like marking fortresses on a battle map. Then find the best approach to connect with them, generously solve their problems, build relationships, and achieve goals through mutual support. For example, aspiring teachers should list people who can secure teaching positions, like alumni who help with certification. Another key factor, seek advice from your personal think tank. A think tank means trusted friends who know your goals and offer support. You can ask them for guidance. After leaving Starwood, Farazi consulted his think tank on his next career move. One friend advised, don't blindly chase Fortune 500 companies. If you want to be a great CEO, joining fast-growing startups is an excellent choice. Farazi accepted this and adjusted his goals. Another friend introduced him to Yahoo in media marketing. Farazi joined Yahoo, using it as a springboard into entertainment in Hollywood, thus finding his goal. Next comes building your network. Step 2 in creating quality connections. 3 principles. First, don't wait until you need help to build relationships. Second, integrate new contacts into your life through effective follow-ups. Finally, deepen relationships by offering help. Now, I'll explain these principles one by one. First principle, don't wait until you need help to connect with someone. For identified networking targets, initiate contact early, even as strangers. Prepare thoroughly, aim and act first. Preparation is essential to successfully approach desired contacts. What's this person's name and where do they work? What are their hobbies and interests? What challenges are they facing recently? Gather as much of this info as possible so you can make a quick impression on someone you want to meet in a short encounter. Open the conversation. This brief meetup could be hours at a party, minutes on a call, or even just seconds sharing an elevator. Farazi always puts in the work when preparing. For example, before a business meeting, Farazi learned that Pepper, former CEO of Procter & Gamble, would attend. He'd always wanted to meet this business figure, so Farazi started recalling his network. And he remembered that when he was at Yale, Pepper had given a speech as an alumni. From Yale's alumni site, he found Pepper attended Yale's Berkeley College and figured Pepper likely knew Professor Robin there. And since this professor was Farazi's pal, Farazi used their shared Yale alumni status and mutual contact to chat with Pepper, scoring valuable advice. In this case, Farazi showed it perfectly. How to prep well for networking, how to seize the moment and take action. In single quote, Never Eat Alone, Farazi also details techniques for cold calling strangers. Hmm. These skills can extend to today's more common contact methods. For instance, on WeChat, the first tip is to add contacts face to face right away. The toughest part is getting into their contact list. So, when suggesting mutual follows, pull out your phone immediately. The second tip, if not adding in person, when sending a request, clearly note how you got their contact. Best if it's a mutual friend's recommendation. Many folks might say, how do I know who we both know? In today's internet world, finding out about someone and mutual connections isn't as tough as we think. Social sites like Weibo and Facebook can help find their hobbies, education, work history, and more. The third tip is to offer useful information and engage in conversation. Once you start, provide information that's useful and interesting to them. At the end, proactively step back to give them space to think. For example, say it's okay if they're not interested and you're still glad to meet them. After connecting, what's next? Should you just let them collect dust in your contacts? Absolutely not. Farazi believes you should integrate new contacts into your life with effective follow ups. 95% of people never contact someone again after one meeting. Following up puts you ahead of that 95% and makes you memorable. Farazi follows up not just with direct contacts, but also connectors who can introduce him and overlooked fringe networks. For direct contacts, Farazi creates strict follow up plans. After meeting someone, he emails within 12 hours. For example, meeting someone on a plane, email that same evening. If meeting at an evening event, email early next morning. Emails don't dive deep, just revisit light, fun topics from your chat. If they're on shared platforms like LinkedIn or Facebook, he adds them there too. A month later, he emails again to stay connected. Yes, he also regularly contacts connectors who can make introductions. What's a connector? People who easily meet others and bring folks together for mutual introductions, like restaurant owners, headhunters, journalists, PR pros. These individuals, their jobs give them wide networks. Staying in touch opens new worlds and may yield unexpected help. Farazi also highly values fringe networking. Fringe networking means connecting online with people outside your usual circle. For example, on Weibo, you might follow real-life friends or one-way connections like experts in certain fields, but we can see all the statuses they share through WeChat and Weibo. Many people might think these statuses describing personal life and emotions or pictures are useless information, but Farazi doesn't think so. He believes fringe networking is very important. In the past, information was usually held by a few people, and those who controlled it could wield certain privileges. The rise of fringe networking has made information abundant and free. Learning to mine it and sift useful insights from the vast amount allows one to grasp certain privileges. Farazi greatly admires a Facebook blogger named Scoble, who manages fringe networking exceptionally well. Scoble has 40,000 followers on Facebook. He live streams events like the Davos Forum, interviews celebrities, and shares tech trends. And therefore, Scoble and his followers have strong interactions, exchanging a lot of information. Soon, Scoble was treated as a VIP by some tech companies. His grasp of firsthand tech info and high engagement fan interactions became resources valued by companies. In other words, although Scoble and his followers aren't deeply connected, he has strong influence over them and his ideas are quickly accepted. He can also get firsthand info from followers, which is a feature of fringe networking, building a network. The last principle is to generously help others. turning shallow relationships into deep ones. In Farazi's view, networking deepens through continuous mutual help. And the most important part is the spirit of generosity, helping others, contributing your time, energy, connections, and sharing information. There are many ways to help others, but the most effective is to focus on their wealth, health, and children. Farazi had long wanted to meet Jack Valenti, former head of the MPAA, but for a long time, he had no opportunity, only briefly chatting at a luncheon. Later, Farazi learned by chance that Jack's child wanted to enter the consulting industry he was in. So Farazi gave Jack's son some advice and introduced him to several professionals. Months later, when he met Jack again and discussed his son's career, Jack, who previously had little impression of Farazi, immediately showed great interest, kept asking professional questions, and accepted Farazi's invitation to his banquet. And so, Farazi's generosity and perfect timing helped him build a strong social relationship. Under the guidance of these three principles, after building his social circle, he moved to the third step in creating high-quality networking, building and promoting his personal brand. No matter how skilled you are at networking, whether it succeeds ultimately depends on your personal abilities and qualities. This includes a person's character, whether they're trustworthy and whether they have sufficient professionalism in their career. These are all aspects of personal branding. In high quality networking, building your own brand, you need to consider both internal and external aspects. Internally, you need depth. Become an expert in your field, possess deep professional insights, and know things others don't. This all requires deep cultivation in your domain. So, how can you make a mark in your field? Farazi suggests always staying at the forefront of your industry, understanding and analyzing the latest trends and opportunities so you can constantly update your knowledge system. Externally, you should focus on promoting your personal brand. In today's society, even good wine needs promotion. How to promote your personal brand is also important. Farazi introduces several strategies. The first strategy is to tie your personal brand to the hottest topics that people care about most. In other words, ride the wave of trends. For example, in a blog documenting your work experiences, appropriately write articles related to your profession based on hot topics, and your blog's visibility will significantly improve. The second strategy is to skillfully leverage the power of media. We often see many celebrities, famous CEOs, and successful entrepreneurs in the media. Is it because they're more deserving of attention? Actually, it's because they spend a lot of time and money specifically interacting with media journalists. When Farazi was CEO at Yahoo, he used this approach. He once met an editor at a nonprofit event. The editor's media outlet was known for discovering the latest tech trends. Farazi proactively compiled and provided him with his company's profile, technology, relevant materials, and industry experience. The editor published this as an in-depth industry investigation, and soon Yahoo's reputation took off. Prestigious media like the New York Times and Forbes extended interview invitations. The third strategy is joining outstanding organizations. Farazi's life experience made him acutely aware that great achievements require collaboration. Establishing organizations is an excellent way to build social relationships. Take the World Economic Forum in Davos as an example. These top-tier business summits offer successful entrepreneurs opportunities to meet more people and expand into broader fields. Joining or creating organizations based on your expertise, skills, and connections is the best way to expand networks and strengthen partnerships. Now, back to the second question, how to build high-quality networking. That's all for now. With so much content, let me recap for you. Farazi proposed 3 steps for quality networking. First, find your goal. Career goals anchor your networking. This goal should align with both your abilities and passions. From this goal, identify your networking targets. During this process, consult your think tank. Step 2. Build your social circle. Farazi proposed 3 principles. Proactively connect before needing help. Second, follow up and maintain relationships promptly. Finally, deepen relationships by generously helping others, focusing on their wealth, health, and children. Step 3, create and promote your personal brand. Professionalism is the cornerstone of personal branding. With a strong brand, market yourself by leveraging trends, media resources, and joining elite organizations, all expanding your network. Networking remains timeless. People recognize networking's importance, but building quality connections isn't common knowledge. We hope this book helps you. That concludes our interpretation of Never Eat Alone. Keynotes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.